Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Apples and Genos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Nate Groot-Niblink. I'm the creator of Apples and Genos, originator of the Zero G Draft Strategy. In this podcast, Blake and I are going to talk about the biggest hot shots and have-nots of the last couple of weeks. Play a little Would You Rather. Let's get it. And of course, I have your friend and my best friend, my brother from another mother, Blake Creamer. Blake, how are we feeling tonight?
Feeling fine, man. Brother from another mother. I love it, buddy. I wish we were brothers. That'd be sick. We are like brothers, aren't we? That's
Brothers in fantasy at the
yeah,
very least,
brothers
and
in fantasy.
brothers in crossing the streams. Like there are a lot of elements here.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug. Oh, sorry. Oh God. I feel good, man. Yeah, more matchups ending poorly for me today here, which really stinks. But I think I'm going to go to the championships in one final matchup here, going
Yeah.
all the way to the end of the year. So I've got one more chance at the glory, buddy. And I'm going all out. I'm getting to biz on that one. So I hope to be able to bring home a championship for Apples and Genos here. But you're doing pretty well yourself, aren't you there, my man?
Yeah, I'm in third place matchup, so not exactly the most exciting fare, but
Not too shabby.
Looks like I'll bring home third place in Fantasy Puck and in Kickoffle Tier 1. So yeah, consolation prize, I guess, but relatively successful seasons, I guess I could say there. But gotta shout out Josh. Josh is, I mean, I don't want to call things before they're totally across the finish line, but our boy Josh is well up in the Fantasy Puck League. Got more players going tonight. It looks like he's gonna bring this thing home for us.
Absolute unit. Joshy, we salute you, we respect you, and we love you.
Apples and Genos taking on the Fantasy Puck League once again. Got to keep it in the family. If I can't bring it home myself, wouldn't wish it to go to anybody else, obviously. So, shout out to Josh. We love you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Let's kick it over right away, Blake. We got a big slate of
Yep.
things to talk about, so let's get into the newsies right off the top here. And of course, we have to start this thing off. Alexander Ovechkin, breaking the record today. Terrific face first slide back
Yeah.
across the blue line. Yeah, just some really great pictures that are going to live on from that moment. And, like typical OV fashion, like this is exactly the kind of celebration you'd expect. Just plays the game with so much joy. Yeah, it was very apropos, I felt, of his entire career, and it's so refreshing to see a guy at 39 years old who just plays for the love of the game so much every single night. And yeah, what can you say? Ovechkin getting the all-time goals record, a record that not many people thought would ever be broken.
I still can't believe it. Like it's just the longevity of it too. Like he's 39 and he's just potted like 30 or 42 goals. This is insane. I mean, Gretzky, I think he had a quote or something. He's like, in my 39th year, I scored 9.
Yeah.
Ovechkin is crushing right now. This is crazy. So, I mean, kudos to him. All-time greatest scorer ever. I don't see how that can ever be broken. I mean, even with today's game and the durability of these players, I don't see how anyone's going to be as durable as Ovechkin and as consistent. It's just not going to happen. So shout out to this guy. He's an absolute unit.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of crazy when you think about like just the eras that he's played
Yep.
across as well. Like, yeah, just a wild confluence of events that come together for him. And honestly, like I've seen it in other places too. Like we had lockouts, we had COVID. Like there were elements here that could have prevented him outside of his control from getting here. So yeah, just nothing but respect for one of the greatest of all time. Outside of records, we do have to report on some injury news. Jonathan Marchessault, still day to day, was part of Sunday's optional skate here. Could be nearing a return, but not going to play here Sunday. Sam Bennett, and Sam Reinhart both missed Sunday's game. Gus Forsling as well, late addition to that list. Dubbed a healing day by Paul Maurice, but yeah, they probably could have used them in this game. It really just seems like Florida's like, yeah, you know what, we'll take whoever's there in
Yeah.
the first round and we'll beat them, and they're just kind of willing to take their lumps in the regular season and just get ready, which is, I mean, it should be scary for everybody else. We all know what this team's capable of when they are at full strength. So, shouldn't be an issue really moving forward. But I mean, week 25, we talk about it. This is why we don't like to play our matchups into week 25, is because this is when this stuff really starts to happen where they're like, you know what, you're a little dinged up. Don't make it worse. Take this day off. We'll take three guys out of the lineup on this day, and suddenly all the lines are mixed up and nobody knows who's passing to who, and the result for fantasy is just super unpredictable. So that is a key element of what could happen for your Florida players moving forward. So keep an eye out for that. Drew Doughty could miss Monday's game, still recovering from his ankle injury. The coach there, Jim Hiller, saying he won't be 100% at any point this season, so they just kind of want to rest him. Obviously, that's not a great look for fantasy. Doughty's been okay, I guess
Yep.
I would say, for fantasy purposes. More like a third or fourth defenseman, but still rosterable in most formats. Lexi Protas, we did get an update week to week with the lower body injury there, lower body injury. That means Ryan Leonard is up on line too, so that might be something you want to look at. Leonard is a breath of fresh air to watch. He's
Yeah.
just all
He's going to
effort
be a
all the
good one.
time. Yeah,
Yep.
he's definitely going to be a good one. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind that look either if you are interested. I mean, Washington has 5 games played in week 25, only one off night, so it's not the best schedule out there. But yeah, depending on the size of your league, Ryan Leonard could be in play for you. Over to Colorado, Martin Necas, Jonathan Drouin, both considered day to day, nothing long term. Probably a similar situation. The Avs here, once you get to this stage of the season, you're like, what are we really playing for? As long as we keep our kind of current position, are we really going to change too much about what's going on in our first round matchup here? Probably not. And so they're just kind of playing it out and not going to take any chances with guys that they need to be healthy for the playoffs. Gabe Landeskog, I don't know if you've been watching this saga at all on Twitter, but there's videos, it seems like every day, of him getting more and more intense with his practice workouts, taking some contacts, some shoves, some cross checks here and there. Really good stuff for Gabe Landeskog. Don't think it works for the Cap for them to bring him back before the playoffs at all. So I don't think there's anything to take away here for fantasy, but it would just be such a great story if Gabe Landeskog was able to come back and to insert him straight into a playoff
Yeah.
atmosphere. I can only imagine the Colorado faithful just going wild if he was announced. So that would be something to see and something to root for sure. Anything to add here, Blake? Anything I missed?
No, buddy, let's get into it. We got hot shots.
All right, we do have some hot shots here right off the top. We have to talk about Robert Thomas. This is getting ridiculous at this
Yep.
point. I mean, in the last 5 games, he's got 2 goals and 9 assists for 11 points. You were saying his stat earlier, Blake, when we were talking. He's got the most points in the last month in the NHL. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, that's wild stuff, man.
Rob Thomas, who knew? The lead singer of Matchbox 20, he could do it all, that's for sure. The interesting part for fantasy, obviously, here is that St. Louis has one of the worst schedules in week 25, only 4 games played, 2 off nights, as we alluded to in the waiver wire show. So if that's you, you really got to think about what you're doing with Rob Thomas this week. They go Monday, Wednesday this week, right? So you're definitely keeping him there, but then they don't play again till the Saturday, so you're
Yep.
waiting until a heavy night there, and then they play again on the heavy Tuesday in the following week. So what are you doing with Rob Thomas? Like, I feel like you got to ride it out for Monday, Wednesday, but are you staying with Rob Thomas till the bitter end, Blake?
Um, yeah, it's all going to depend on your matchup, right? But Monday, Wednesday, it's a no-brainer. This guy is insane right now. Like, what is he pacing for? 93 points. Sheesh. This guy's winning people matchups this week
Yep.
and last week. It's great to see. Like, this is, I don't know. Remember when Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas were getting like that treatment from Craig Berube, like, a couple of years ago, maybe it was last year, where he's just talking yang on both his, highest paid players. And it was really bad vibes there. But
Yeah.
look at St. Louis now, like, holy man. And the interesting thing about Rob Thomas as well, only 18 of these 75 points he has are on the power play. That's crazy. So he's doing it at even strength.
Yeah.
which is even better to see. Like a guy that can do it at even strength, like the power play is just icing at that point, right? But yeah, he's had a good year. He played most of the year with Buchnevich and Neighbors. That's his highest percentage of line mates there. But this last game, who's he playing with? Buchnevich and Jimmy Snuggerud. Snug life. Yeah, that's kind of a nice little thing there. But again, the thing with Robert Thomas, and we've talked about it to death, efficiency, right? He's massively efficient. St. Louis is massively efficient. Like if you look at what their line was able to do in this last game, where Robert Thomas got 4 points, by the way, they were caved in. They were caved in shots that, they had a 33% shots for percentage. They had a 37% Corsi for percentage. So other teams are tilting the ice against that line, but St. Louis is coming up roses, right? And I think that speaks to the talent of Robert Thomas and Buchnevich to some degree. So yeah, I'm into it. But in terms of this season, this week, sorry, Monday, Wednesday for sure, and then you're going to have to reevaluate, right? And then it just becomes a numbers game. Is 2 games of Robert Thomas better than like 4 games of a lesser player, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not. And those are the type of decisions you're going to have to make. I would love to hold Robert Thomas as long as possible, right? He plays a pretty nice matchup against Seattle on Saturday as well. I don't know. Maybe you hold till Saturday and then you jump onto a 3-game team in 4 nights and then kind of finish with a single game stream on the Thursday, something like that. I don't know. What are you doing, Nate?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's going to be really hard to drop Rob Thomas
Yeah.
when he's going like this for sure. He is one of those guys though. If he's not giving you the crazy point production, he doesn't fill out a lot of other categories for you. He has 11 hits on the year, only 138 shots. Like those are not things that he provides on a regular basis. So if he's not hot like this, things start to cool down a bit, then it could go in the reverse direction pretty quickly, right? Like 262nd in shots per 60, 243 individual scoring chances for per 60. It's the on ice numbers that are better, 38th in on ice scoring chances for per 60 while skating 21 and a half minutes a night. That's what you like to see out of Rob Thomas. So yeah, I think it's a spot where you keep holding him until you're really compelled. If you get to a point where, like you said, past the Saturday, I think you're still holding them for that Saturday matchup. And if you get past the Saturday and you're looking at it and you're like, man, I can get 3 games of somebody who can actually do something for me here. We talked about, I think it's LA, and what was the other team? There's one other team that has 3 games
Take a look here.
in the final week, or the final, I guess, little bit. Detroit is the other team. So yeah, it's like it depends who's out there. Like if Quentin Byfield got dropped or something, like if somebody like that is out there and you're getting 3 games of Byfield versus 1 of Rob Thomas, then that's a real
Yeah.
conversation for me at that point. But yeah, it really does depend, and I'm not like desperate to move off of him, right? Just because he has a few less games played, especially with the recent stretch of play. Another couple guys with a recent stretch of play, Morgan Geekie, but obviously have to talk about David Pastrnak at the same time. Morgan Geekie is the more surprising one, so we'll spend most of our time there,
Yeah.
but Pastrnak, just to shout him out, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points in his last 5, 19 and a half minutes, 45th shots per 60, 93rd individual scoring chances 4 per 60, also 93rd in Corsi 4 per 60, and 92nd in on-ice scoring chances 4 per 60. Now on a 42-goal, 102-point pace on the season, all as well. Remember earlier in the year when everybody was super worried about David
Yep.
Pastrnak? It just doesn't matter. Boston can be as terrible as they want to be, and David Pastrnak is that level of elite player where it does not matter. So that's a good look for Pastrnak and a good look for his draft stock heading into next year. But Geekie's where I want to center our attention here. 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points in his last 5, also about 19 and a half minutes average time on ice. Underlying numbers not so hot here though. 268 shots per 60, 211 individual scoring chances 4 per 60. He's on a 33 goals, 57-point pace at this point, but obviously a lot of that has come over the last little bit as he's really solidified his role on the top line and top power play alongside Pastrnak. So what do we do here with a guy like Morgan Geekie when, you know, it's a pretty nondescript schedule for Boston this week. They play Tuesday, Thursday, heavy nights there. Sunday is technically a heavy night as well with the 9 games played. So it's not like a great thing schedule-wise. They play New Jersey, Chicago, and Pittsburgh. So in terms of the opponents, it's not that bad. Is Geekie a guy you have to hold just based on how hot he is, or are you considering making a move if there's somebody out there who can get you a lot of games played who you're actually quite interested in as well?
Definitely not a have to hold. I definitely don't think that he's doing this off massive efficiency as well, and his line is hot. One of the things that's really neat, I'm glad you brought up David Pastrnak because, yeah, there was legit concern, and I'm even surprised to see him at 102-point pace, David Pastrnak, because of just he's kind of gone under the radar this year with this. So it's nice to see. The team has been terrible, and again, Pastrnak power play points garbage. He only has 23 power play points on the year, where he had 35 last year. Like, he's not going to come close to that number this year. But yeah, all's well with David Pastrnak, and Connor Morgan Geekie is one of the major benefactors of that. Pasta's passing is very underrated, right?
Yeah.
He's putting Geekie in a lot of really good spots. Like, I'm digging in on some of Corey Schneider's all three zone stuff here, and Morgan Geekie, like, he shots off of high danger passes, he's in the 96th percentile, right? And he's played most of the season with David Pastrnak. So Pastrnak is getting him the puck in really good positions, and Geekie is an efficient and a very good shooter. So I think, yeah, he's done really well, and he's really capitalized on that offensive opportunity with Pasta. So that said, I mean, 4 games in the upcoming week, I'm not sure. I think if you can fit him into your lineup for the Tuesday and the Thursday, okay, like that, those are fine matchups. But I'd probably be looking to get off him and maximize some games played. I still think Geekie is above streamer level currently because of the way he's playing, but I don't trust it. I mean, if you look at what's going on here, I mean, big time efficiency. Last 5 games, he's shooting 37.5%. The on ice shooting percentage, 27%. Dear God. Like, I'm not saying that can't sustain for the final 4 games of the year, but it shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if we're banking on things and we're trying to put things on our side, I would wager that Morgan Geekie is not going to be able to keep this up. And I'd rather get those games played in instead of relying on someone who's just massively efficient right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel similarly. Geeky, not a great schedule through week 25, but it does depend when. It's more like a when is your exit ramp on him,
Yep.
not a. It's, yeah. With Rob Thomas, it was a real if question. With Geeky, it seems more like a when question for me, because I do think there will be a point throughout your week where it does make sense to be off of him just on strict games played. You'll probably, unless you're obviously in a pretty deep league, like maybe in a 14 team or 16 team kind of setup, then you're not considering dropping Morgan Geeky just because of what's actually available to you. It's not that exciting. But if there is something that's worth having out there on the waiver wire, then Geeky does look like a prime drop candidate, at least after the Tuesday, Thursday, maybe before, depending on who's out there and how hotly prioritized do you think they might be on your waiver wire for your league. So yeah, that's definitely a player that, despite how hot he is right now, I would very much consider moving off as soon as Monday, this first Monday of week 25, if necessary. Heading over to Buffalo, Alex Tuck busting down barn doors at the moment. 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points in his last 5. I don't know where this was all season long, but we'll take it. 18 minutes, average time on ice, 122nd, shots per 60, 91st individual, scoring chances 4 per 60. Still just 202nd in Corsi 4 per 60, 219 in on ice scoring chances 4 per 60. Another goal and an assist today in the game against Boston. Playing finally on the top power play all the time. Playing on that McLeod-Paterka line over the last little bit has been a good fit for Alex Tuck, but yeah, he's definitely still one of the drivers on this team. He's got 33 goals on the season. That's a nice look. 18.1% shooting percentage, maybe a touch hot, but he is a guy who can do a little bit of that and has found maybe a little bit more of his game under Lindy Ruff in the back half here of this season. Now, moving throughout the last part of this fantasy season, Buffalo plays 6 games. They only have 1 off night. I tend to think that Alex Tuck is a guy you can't move away from at this point. What do you think about him, Blake?
Yeah, I would agree. I'm definitely not looking to get off Alex Tuck. This is a guy that he's I think he's one of the most consistent players on the team. And I like that you said he's a driver of play. I think he's an underrated driver of play. I mean,
Yeah.
Tage got the hat trick today, right? You got
Yeah.
JJ Paterka in there. He's dynamic. Whereas Tuck is kind of just old faithful. He's out there. He's doing the dirty work. He's getting the puck to the people that need the puck. And plus, he's having a very efficient season in his own right. This guy's shooting 18.2%. That's the highest shooting percentage of his career, right? And it's not crazy. That's not a otherworldly shooting percentage. It's high for him for sure. But he had, in his other big season with Buffalo, he shot 16.5%. Right.
Yeah.
So it's in the wheelhouse. I'm glad to see him back on power play 1. I think that's why we're seeing a 67-point pace instead of something like a 75-point pace, right? Because he didn't play power play 1 all year. He has a 49% power play share. So that said, I love it. He's on a 67-point pace with a 49% power play share. That's great. And now he's back on power play 1. I think this guy's going to cook rest of season here. And again, this is a guy we should really be targeting in drafts next year. He's going to be one of these late players that people are letting pass by. And this is just a player that can do a lot of things here. He's also got 105 blocks. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Jeez. Buddy, that's huge. I mean, in most points formats that have periffs, blocks usually have quite a good point value.
Yep.
So like Kakuffel being one for sure. So Tuck with 105 blocks in 76 games, that's really nice. So I'm a big fan of the player. I don't know what Buffalo's going to do though. I'm not sure Lindy Ruff's job is safe. And I guess for fantasy, I hope that he does stay because at least we know what to expect. And Buffalo's playing loose right now. Under Lindy Ruff, like loose in a good way. They're playing kind of, just easy breezy. But I don't know. You get another coach in here. Now we're looking at what's the deployment like? How does Tuck get prioritized? This and that, right? So I don't know. This is a player I'm watching going into next season for sure. And a player you were big on going into the season, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a ton of Alex Tuck. Had him in 2 different teams. In Fantasy Puck League, actually, there's a pretty good blocks weight in that league as well, relative to point scoring.
Yep.
And so he's been very good even when he wasn't going, basically.
Yeah.
And now that he's going, that's actually been a big part of me pulling down third. So he's been an asset there for sure. And he's an asset in category leagues, especially with that kind of category coverage for sure. Yeah, love the player. Very interested to see what happens in Buffalo this offseason. I think there will be some sort of shakeup. I just don't necessarily know what that will be. It sounds like it was a 2-year deal that Lindy Russ signed there.
Mm-hmm.
Don Granato had a 2 years left on his deal when he was signed. So I don't know if the Sabres want to be paying 3 coaches in 2025,
Why
26,
not?
but we will see where that goes. Moving on, Seattle, Jared McCann, another guy that I was big on this offseason, has 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points in his last 17 minutes average time on ice, 3rd in the league in shots per 60, 11th in individual scoring chances for per 60, 56th in on ice Corsi for per 60, and 34th in on ice scoring chances for per 60. He's been playing on the Shane Wright, Andre Burakovsky line, and that's actually been working for him pretty well. Also, like, they are still doing that split power play situation.
Yep.
He's on the Burakovsky Wright Kako power play unit. So it's not like anything has really changed in the situation for Jared McCann. He's just finally turned it on. I speculated, can't remember which show it was. Maybe it was the Puzzling Players last week, but I speculated about Anaheim a little bit because their underlying numbers for a lot of their top end guys, McTavish, Terry, Gauthier, a lot of these guys are showing out in the underlying numbers right now. I kind of was just speculating that like either A, Cronin was just kind of letting them go because the rest of the season doesn't really matter at this point, or B, they were like, this guy's gone by this time next
Right.
year, and I
Yep.
just got to turn it up and show what I can do and be a part of the team, part of the top power play, part of the top end talent on this team for next year. I don't know what it is exactly, but it kind of feels like something similar is happening here with McCann, whether it's just him or him getting a little bit more freedom to do what he likes to do. Whatever the case may be, it's working at this moment. And yeah, you look up and all of a sudden he's on pace to finish with 21 goals, 62 points on the season. And that wouldn't be that bad of a year. I was obviously hoping for a bigger breakout to the
Yep.
70 plus point range. But yeah, it's not as bad a season with given this latest hot streak. Now, how much that really helped managers who picked him up this year, he had a massive cold streak before this hot streak. And so he has been very mercurial in that sense. What's your temperature on McCann for the rest of the season here, and where do you think we should be drafting him going into next year?
That's a good question. I mean, Seattle has a Monday, Tuesday back to back to start. They play 3 games in 4 nights. So yeah, we're loving McCann for that. That's a great start for him. After that, you can assess, right? Get those first 3 games in, and then we'll take a look and see what's going on. But I'm really glad that McCann has salvaged kind of what was a really down season and a really hard season to predict with Dan Bilesma coming in here. I was in the camp that I thought he was going to kind of run a more standard style of team. You know, we got our top 2 lines, we got our top power play, and guys like Jared McCann would get more minutes. It just hasn't happened. right? Like even in this hot streak here, he's still only playing like just under 17 minutes average time on ice, right? That's been pretty steady all year. He's got a 53% power play share on the season. That's fine, I guess. Like this guy should have a 70% power play share. This
Yeah.
is an offensive player, an amazing shooter, which he's definitely showing with his metrics currently, right? But it's just really good to see. It's just a hard one. I don't know where I'm at with him, and I don't know where I would draft him next year. I projected him for 72 points as well, right? And he's not going to hit that. I think I'm going to back off a little bit next season just because of the inconsistencies in what they're doing in Seattle. But the underlyings on this player, the bones of this player is a 70-point player minimum to me. It just doesn't make sense, but he's going to need some help. He's been pretty inefficient this year. I mean, shooting 10.4%, that's the lowest shooting percentage he's had in 5 seasons. So yeah, I mean, you get a new coach in here, and it could be as simple as that, right? He's trying to figure out, what the expectations are for him, this and that. I think he's going to be a value next year in drafts. People aren't going to be going out of their way to draft Jared McCann for that 62-point pace, right? But you and I know, I think this is a 75-point player to me. So I think I'll have some shares of Jared McCann next year, but I did this year as well, and I ended up getting off him in a couple spots.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's been the story because he has gone so cold, and the way they distribute ice in Seattle, you can't wait around because when he's going cold, he's getting 15 minutes a night instead of 18, and then it all kind of just goes back and forth between on that kind of continuum. And so, yeah, you can't wait around that much in Seattle, especially. Another spot where you wonder about the coach, first year coach in
Yeah.
Jalen Bilesma, and what's his role on the team after this year. It obviously did not go according to plan this year there, and they had some bigger aspirations there for sure. So that'll be interesting to see as well. Last player on the list, Luke Hughes, did miss one game with a groin strain, but it didn't seem to affect him when he came back. He's got 7 points, 1 goal in his last 4 games here. He's had like this 22 minutes average time on ice that I'm looking at here. He like left the one game, right? So he left that game early, had a lower time on ice in that one. The next game he comes back and they're winning handily, so he plays under 20 minutes. Then the next game he plays 29.
Mhm.
And underlying metrics are popping right now for Luke Hughes. 16th shots per 60, 5th shot attempts, 24th individual scoring chances 4 per 60, 44th Corsi 4 per 60, 98th in on ice scoring chances 4 per 60. But I think this is going to get into a really interesting debate. Luke Hughes versus Dougie Hamilton for the New Jersey Devils next year. Let's play a little would you rather ahead of the would you rather, Blake. Who
Mhm.
would you rather, 2025-26, Luke Hughes or Dougie Hamilton?
Oof, that's a really, really tough one. That's a really tough one. I mean, a cop out answer would be I need to wait until the last possible minute and to see how these guys are going to be deployed because they're two completely different defensemen, right? Whereas Dougie
Yeah.
Hamilton's more of an in zone, like just fire the puck kind of guy. He's a shot monster from the back end. Whereas Luke Hughes is a much better all around defenseman. He's an amazing rushing defenseman. And he just generates so much offense on his own, where Dougie Hamilton, I think, he's just at the end of passes. Other guys do the work. They get the puck to Hamilton and he zips it, right? Or he gets assists, or people score on rebounds from his shots, where Luke Hughes is driving much more offense. So, I mean, in terms of the player, I'd rather have Luke Hughes. But it's really going to be who's getting power play one, because once Dougie Hamilton went out, you see the difference in Luke Hughes here. Now he's back up to like a really nice point pace. He had 47 points last year. He's pacing for 51 this year, and he hasn't even had power play one. So this to me is definitely a player that I want to be in on. I'd like to have both. I feel like you're going to have to pay up for Dougie Hamilton next year, and I don't think you're going to have to pay up for Luke Hughes. Maybe more than you had to this year, but still probably after pick 100 for Luke Hughes. And I think if you can get him after pick 100, you're loving life, because there's a really good chance, I think, that he gets power play one. And I'll give you a little would you rather because I'm just digging in on a couple metrics here. Luke Hughes and Lane Hutson, right? Two really dynamic, young, exciting defensemen. And they profile in a similar way, but where they're different is Luke Hughes is just better. He's so much better than Lane Hutson, in my opinion, right? But Lane Hutson has a situation that really is tailored to his game. And, he's putting up massive amounts of points and he's getting relied on in all situations, where Luke Hughes he's doing this point streak here with his brother out of the lineup, Dougie Hamilton out of the lineup. It's he's kind of carrying things. And I think all things equal, I'd rather have Luke Hughes. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, first of all, this is Blake's take, so all Montreal fans listening to this, please direct your ire to his DMs only and
I
not
love Lane
mine.
Hutson. Come on, don't it? No.
No, I think it's a valid conversation to talk between the two players. I think Hudson is just in a spot where they absolutely love him. He's going to get every opportunity to be offensive, and I don't know if you can say that about New Jersey. Maybe for the rest of this season with Dougie Hamilton out, yeah, you can say that. But beyond that point, I don't know if you can. It is kind of interesting to draw the parallels. Neither of these guys provide much in the way of peripherals. They don't shoot, they don't hit, they barely block. I mean, Hudson has roughly a block per game, so I guess that's acceptable for fantasy purposes, but Hughes is below that number. Um, yeah, I think they're comparable in some senses along those lines, but also, I think just the situation, Hudson is much more assured in my mind at this point. Yeah, just the way he's solidified things for himself, like taking the bull by the horns and really kind
Mm-hmm.
of put his own stamp on the back end of the season. These multiple point nights that he's put together, the 3 assist nights back to back against Florida, big in division games where he's yeah almost willing them to victory. It feels like at times. So yeah, he's really in a spot where I honestly kind of expected him to fade over the back end of the season as an undersized guy playing in the NHL, playing huge minutes, and he's just gone nuts in the back half. So, mark of a true superstar in that respect. So,
Yep.
I think from that perspective, I think you gotta like Lane Hutson there. If you like reverse the situations and you put them in different situations, maybe you could have an interesting discussion because Hughes would fit into that role. But I think I would take Hudson there in both for rest of this season and in drafts next year. Even if we knew Luke Hughes was power play one in New Jersey, that would
Oh
be my
my
take.
God. All right. I'm going to remember this one. I'm clipping it.
All right. Well, before we get into the have-nots, just want to remind everybody about the Patreon. $2 a month gets you access to patron-only live shows. There is going to be one, not Monday, April the 7th, but April the 14th. There won't be a Puzzling Players. There will just be a patron-only live show in the Discord server. So if you want to get in there for that, I've started to work together a little bit of a show sheet for that one. I'm going to be talking about players that I think will take the next step next year, players that will be undervalued in drafts next year, team situations that I think are going to be super interesting to monitor next year, and then just some of the biggest storylines of the fantasy season, not just the NHL, but also the fantasy season here this year. So I think that's going to be a really interesting one and one that'll really prime you for the offseason, what to look for. Give you some players to get hyped about and to watch for news on, watch for early practice lines when we get there in training camp. Yeah, just some early April hype for 2025-26
Oh,
fantasy
yeah.
season.
Sounds amazing.
Also, the $8 a month Apples tier gets you the Patreon only live shows, Patreon only Discord channels, gets you the show notes for the flagship show and the waiver wire show, and the Apples and Genos player evaluation tool. If you need some really big help this week, week 25, your championship week, maybe, then you can look at the Genos tier, $15 a month. All the previous perks mentioned, plus I will personally answer every single one of your questions, guaranteed. But Blake, are you ready for some have-nots?
I'm ready, buddy. Sad trombone. Let's get it.
All right. At the top of the list, we have to talk about Jonathan Huberdeau, who had previously been on some hot shots, but now still 21 minutes a night, but no points in the last 5 games for Jonathan Huberdeau. 282nd shots per 60, 173 individual scoring chances 4 per 60,
Yep.
195 Corsi 4 per 60, 260 in on ice scoring chances 4 per 60. I know we're talking about the resurgence for Huberdeau this year, 29 goals, 63-point pace on the season.
Yep.
But he's done that with an 18.4% shooting percentage. Don't know that we should have expected that he would continue to convert at least scoring at that kind of clip. And so now in a spot like Calgary where there's still like Nazem Kadri's had a great year, but he's still not anybody's definition of like a true sniper for Huberdeau to set up. I just think that it's a spot where we probably could have seen the Huberdeau decline coming in the back end of our fantasy season.
Yep. It makes sense. The thing with Huberto, he's just he's not a good goal scorer. And obviously he scored 27 goals this year. So I'm not trying to throw shade at the man, but that's kind of against the grain, right?
Mhm.
That's not what he's known for. And I'm not really stoked on a player that is so poor in one category, right? Like goal scoring is really not his thing. Like I said, it's been decent this year, but I don't see how it's going to get much better than what he's able to accomplish here this year. I think this is kind of his ceiling for goal scoring. And we're still looking at like, a 63-point pace. It's not great, right? But that said, he is an amazing passer. There's no question there. I don't like what is going on with the lines there in Calgary. Like
Mhm.
I love it when Huberdeau and Kadri are together. That really makes a lot of sense to me. But I'm not a head coach, and obviously the coach is seeing something there that he doesn't like. But yeah, there's just a lot of red flags with Huberdeau's game to me. It's not a guy that I'm going to be interested in moving forward next year. Like I think that 100-point season, 115-point season is so far in the rearview mirror. It's not even. It's just so blurry. You can't even. I don't even remember that he did that. He's never going to come close to that again. I think 65 points is probably his ceiling currently, but rest of season, he's still getting 20 minutes a night, over 20 minutes a night. Power play one. Calgary has a great schedule, especially for the first four games they play: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. You're
Yeah.
going to get him in all those games. Then he plays Tuesday. So you could just roll. You could just roll with Jonathan Huberdeau all week as a one-game stream, or if you have him, you're holding him. Like I'd potentially just hold him all week and just hope for the best, right? This is a guy he is an offensive player and he's being put in offensive positions. Calgary is not an offensive team, unfortunately. So it's kind of, you get what you get and you don't get upset. All right. That's what I tell my son. Um, but yeah, the fact is he's a great passer, and I think there's a potential for a bunch of offense, and he has a great schedule. So rest of the season, I'm liking it. Next season, no, thank you.
Yeah. I think it is one of those spots where, yeah, I'm not in love with the player. I haven't been in on him at any point this season, really, even when things were going very well for him.
Mm.
But I'm looking at this schedule here: 6 games, 4 off nights. He's gonna play. He's gonna play pretty much every night for you, probably. And if you dropped him, he would probably immediately become the hottest thing on your waiver wire in a lot of leagues. So, yeah, it's not a spot where it's nice to feel like Huberto's going to
Yeah.
contribute over the last 6 games. But I mean, Calgary's still live for this thing too, so they need him. They're going to keep trotting him out. He's going to get the 21-minute a night treatment. I feel like that's pretty secure at this point. Yeah, I think it's just a spot where you have to close your eyes, plug your nose, whatever you got to do. You got to keep Jonathan Huberto in the lineup. Over to Colorado, Valerie Nichushkin, Arturi Lehkonen, just 1 assist for each of these guys in the last 5 games. Lekkonen's over 20 minutes, Nichushkin's over 21 minutes. Nichushkin, 31st shots per 60, 31st individual scoring chances 4 per 60, 19th Corsi 4 per 60, 25th in on ice scoring chances 4 per 60. Lehkonen, 153 shots per 60, but 64th in individual scoring chances 4 per 60, 26th in on ice Corsi 4 per 60, and 10th in on ice scoring chances 4 per 60. Lehkonen, however, is on, like, both of them are on the top line with McKinnon at this moment with Drouin and Natchez out. But Lehkonen is not even on the top power play. Charlie Coyle, Brock Nelson, both these guys on the top power play with Valerie Nichushkin over Arturi Lehkonen at this moment. What do you think about these guys? And keep in mind, this is a weird situation for Colorado. They have by far the weirdest schedule rest of season here. They play 4 games in the upcoming 7 days. They play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So all technically heavy nights here, but then they're done. After that, they're absolutely done. So if you can get all 4 games of Nichushkin or Lehkonen, despite how cold they've been, theoretically they're in a good spot here. There is the specter of if Natchez comes back, if Drouin comes back, maybe one or both get bumped down the lineup out of the top power play. What happens then? What are you doing with these guys, given all the moving parts here in Colorado?
I think you're holding both for the 4 games. That's what makes sense to me. I just don't like making moves where you've got this is basically a 4 game. Like if you just condense it Monday to Sunday, it's a 4 game player, right? And then like, why would you get off a player that's playing 4 out of the first 7 nights? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So Lekin is still getting 20 minutes. Even when Drouin and Natchez come back, he's going to be in the 16 to 18-minute range. That's fine. Like, that's absolutely fine for me for Lehkonen. It's just manage expectations, right? Who are you going to get from the waiver wire that's going to give you comparable to what Lehkonen is giving you, right? It's probably pretty slim out there. So I'm like Nichushkin, I'm definitely holding for the 4 games. Lehkonen is like, maybe if he gets like an 11-minute game or something like that, one of the games, you're like, all right, I'm not really into that. I can't take an 11-minute game, but I just don't see that happening. So to me, I'm holding both players, but I do love Valeri Nichushkin. This is a player that's really, it's been hard, right, with the last couple seasons and all the things that's been going on with him, and his being in and out of the lineup. But when he's in the lineup consistently, this is an insane power play performer. He's great. He's at the end of so many passes on the power play. He really plays well with those top guys in Colorado, and the metrics kind of bear that out. He's looking really good out there. So yeah, I think, long story short, I'm keeping both players for the first 4 games, and then obviously you're moving off of both, right? It's kind of a nice situation. I don't mind that schedule, actually. 4 games in the first 7 nights, and then you just move on to a player that plays 3 in the next 4. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think if that's an option for you, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think like I would drop Lehkonen for sure. Maybe not Nichushkin, but I would drop Lehkonen for sure for a guy like Tyler Toffoli, who is our top streamer in the waiver wire episode, if
Yep.
that's your play, right? If that's your play and you're getting 6 games, 5 off nights from a Tyler Toffoli, and that helps you, like maybe Lehkonen wasn't actually going to get into your lineup on one or multiple of those heavy nights, then that starts to make a lot more sense at that point. If you are getting all 4 games and you think you can hang on and then even grab like a Trevor Moore for the 3 games after the 4 nights from you get from Colorado, then that's a spot where, it might be worth dropping somebody else for your San Jose streamer, your Toffoli, your Eklund, your Will Smith, whoever you're grabbing
Yeah,
there.
it's got to be someone
And
else.
yeah, and then you hang on to a guy like Lehkonen, and then you grab Marco Casper, or you grab Trevor Moore, or you grab whoever's out there at that point, and you go that route. I think that makes sense to me. Over to Edmonton, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman, they were hot, now they're cold. Maybe yes, maybe no. And then they're out, they're up, then they're down. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has just 1 assist in his last 5, just over 19 minutes average time on ice. Tim Stutzla, or sorry, Zach Hyman, not getting there yet. A little ahead of myself. Zach Hyman
You're
just
getting
with the 1
excited.
goal. A little excited. I made the Katy Perry reference and
Yeah.
started thinking about other
Yeah.
things. 1 goal in the last 5 games for Zach Hyman. 18 minutes average time on ice. Yeah, nothing's looking too hot. Obviously, you got the Draisaitl and McDavid injury situations in Edmonton, which is really just tough to figure out what they might try to do there. Edmonton, another team where you're wondering what they're really playing for at this point. They might need some games here in the last little bit, but they
Yeah.
definitely don't need all of them. And so they're going to do their best to make sure they put themselves in the best position to play uh, just to play in the playoffs, right? So I think it's a spot where both of these guys should be better, but we've also been saying that for the vast majority of this entire season. And at some point, you got to believe in something. The other complicating factor here is that Edmonton, along with San Jose, has the best schedule in week 25, 6 games, 5 off nights. Is there a world in which you are moving off of RNH or Zach Hyman this week, Blake?
Um, Potentially RNH, but again, it's similar to Lehkonen. Like RNH is Lehkonen to me, basically. It's like,
Yeah.
what is there really someone who you can get that's better than RNH, or has a better schedule, has the minutes, the access to the power play? Probably not, right? So you're just hoping for the best in that case, right? Like if you have RNH at this point, I think you just hold until the wheels fall off, right? That's sort of what makes sense to me. Hyman, what a disappointing season. Jeez.
Yeah.
This was a 3rd rounder in your fantasy drafts, and rightfully so. We got 54 goals last year, but yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that wasn't just the outlier, like because RNH had that outlying season. He had a 100-point season. Now, then the next year, Hyman had 54 points or 54 goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's hard to gauge, right? When you got McDavid and Draisaitl, obviously those are your 1-2 that you're loving there. But who's the beneficiary of playing with those players? And this year it wasn't either, was it? Like, Hyman 52-point pace. That's where he's at. That's trash, buddy. God, he had such a horrible start, and the metrics were really good, and then the metrics kind of fell off, and it just hasn't been a great season. So I don't know. You have to hold him. I think you have to hold him with the schedule, but Yeah, and I also think Hyman is going to be a value in drafts next year. We have to talk about that. He's not a 52 point player, right? He's closer to a 70-point player. This is a 40 and 30 guy. I think he should be a 40 goal, 30 assist player moving forward. It doesn't make any sense. He was extremely unlucky, especially early. His power play performance this year has been god awful, which is something that he did pretty well, at least in the goal scoring department over the last 2 seasons. So yeah, down year for Hyman. I think he's going to be better next year, but unfortunately, you probably have to hold both these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree there. It's just a spot where I'm probably like giving up games played or at least giving up some roster flexibility with the off nights here.
Mm-hmm.
If I am making a move between Hyman or RNH and anybody on the wire. And so it just becomes a really, a really like
Yeah,
cut
what's the
off,
benefit?
cut off my arm to save my leg kind of
Mm-hmm.
situation in a lot of respects. So yeah, I just don't know how many scenarios it'll make sense for. I'm sure there are some people out there with a scenario in like an 8 team league where it makes sense. Yeah, okay, in an 8 team league, there's probably somebody out there who's really going to help you. But in most leagues, I don't know that that's going to be the case. Got to move along to Tim Stutzla, who I mentioned before, but another guy, just 1 assist in his last 6 games, actually. In the last 5, though, 19 minutes average time on ice, 259 shots per 60, 364 individual scoring chances, 4 per 60, 109 in Corsi, 4 per 60, 90th in on ice scoring chances, 4 per 60. Stutzla has 72 points in 77 games. That's definitely not close to a lot of people's projections for him this offseason. I was ridiculed for having him at a 28 goal, 79-point projection, and he's not even going to hit that, it looks like at this point. So, yeah, talk to me about Tim Stutzla. And, like, again, you, it's hard to figure out because Ottawa
Yeah.
hasn't even been bad. He hasn't. It's not like necessarily a Brady Kachuk thing because Stutzla hasn't always been on Kachuk's line. Obviously, the power play, he's been there. But what do we do with Tim Stutzla? The last 2 games, 1640 average time on ice, 1724 average time on ice. What do we do with Tim Stutzla this week?
Oh, Timmy Stutes, what are you doing? He's tooting right in our faces. My mouth was open, Tim. Come on. I think you got to hold. He has a great schedule. Yeah, I'm not dropping Tim Stutes, but it is going to be a little bit of a hard start here, right? He played Tuesday and then he doesn't play until Friday again, right? So I don't know. It's going to be kind of a gross start, but it'll make it up on the back end. This is an offensive player, so I'm not super concerned, but I don't know. Digging in on the metrics on Timmy Stutes, it's his 5-on-5 play. He's like a limp noodle out there. Like, what are you doing, man? He has 29 power play points already in 77 games. Without that, I mean, his season is really bad. Like, it's a really bad season. He's got a career high in power play points this year with only 3 goals on the power play. So I don't know. Something needs to change for Timmy Stutes at even strength because he's not generating a damn thing out there. It's really rough, actually. Like digging in on natural stat trick, his shots on goal per 60 at 5-on-5, the lowest of his career, 5.29. That's no good, Timmy Stu. You got to shoot the puck, all right? He's being pretty efficient, but his IPP is down. His individual Corsi for is down. Individual scoring chances for are way down, and his on ice shooting percentage is not great either. So to me, it's really at 5-on-5 where Timmy Stutes is falling off and hasn't been good all season. So I think they need to shake something up with the lines there. I don't know if they have a player that's really going to complement Timmy Stutes at this point. So they got to roll with what they roll with there. He has played a lot of the season with Claude Giroux and Brady Kachuk. Brady Kachuk is out right now. So that probably accounts for a little bit of Timmy Stutzla's, scoring woes, but I don't know. You have to hold him, unfortunately, right? This is an offensive player, power play 1, line 1. He's good to go. It's just, yeah, it sucks that he's sort of limping over the finish line, isn't it?
Yeah, I find it hard to figure out a point to get off the Timmy Stützle train as well. They play Columbus, Montreal, and Philadelphia this week. Like, talk about teams that you
Yeah.
might be able to run up the score on. Um, yeah, it's a good look in terms of the matchups this week. I feel like it's a spot where he could bust a slump, even if he's not even playing particularly well
Yeah.
himself. It's just a time on ice downturning in the last few games that's really concerning me here. But either way, I'm at least gonna hold and see what happens in Columbus, especially if Merzlikins goes back in the net because he has been an absolute sieve as of late. Last order of business here in the have-nots. Got to talk about three defensemen, highly regarded defensemen: Josh Morrissey, Moritz Seider, and Thomas Harley. None of these guys have really been living up to expectations. Harley got a goal today to make his numbers look a little bit better, but Morrissey has just one assist in his last five. Seider has just one assist in his last five. Harley, now with the goal today, has a goal and an assist in his last five. Morrissey's 24 and a half minutes average time on ice. Seider up over 26. Harley just over 23. Harley's got the best underlying metrics, 10th in on ice scoring chances for per 60, for example. But what do you do with defensemen who should be good this time of year, but they are not producing? And what do you think about with these guys? Are you digging in? Are you just letting your defense play out at this point? What do you think about these ones?
I don't know. I mean, to me, unless it's a really shallow league, like an 8-teamer, you're holding on. These are all guys that have offensive acumen. They're just going cold at the wrong time, and that's fantasy hockey, folks. It's unfortunate. Like Thomas Harley, this guy's a stud. He's an absolute unit. 54-point pace. He's already got a career high, like 16 goals from a defenseman. That's great. If you stop the season right now and look at Thomas Harley, you're like, great season, Thomas Harley. Way to go. The problem is, yeah, he's tanking your finals matchups here, right? Like that's the problem. So, I mean, for me, it's all schedule plays at this point. And when you look at the schedule of these teams, like what are we looking at here? Dallas plays 5 games with 2 nights, so I think you're probably good to hold Harley that whole time. What are the other teams here? I'm just trying to dig in here. So Morrissey, Winnipeg plays 5 games 2 nights as well. So yeah, why are you getting off Morrissey? It doesn't make any sense. Moritz Seider, I wouldn't mind dropping him, but Detroit plays 6 games with 4 off nights. So how are you getting off Moritz Seider? Who are you getting that's going to get you more than Moritz Seider is offering you, right? And there's value over replacement as well with all 3 of these players. You're hanging on and you're hoping for the best again with these players, but I really, really like Thomas Harley. That's a guy that I'm going to be in on a lot next season. I wonder what the situation is going to be in Dallas with Miro Heiskanen when he gets healthy. I think Harley has earned top power play. That power play got instantly better once they inserted Harley there when Heiskanen got injured, and I don't think they should go back to it. So we'll see what happens there in the playoffs if Heiskanen does come back. Morrissey, he's good to go. 60-point pace for him. That's a nice season, right? Winnipeg has kind of, fallen off a little bit as of late, but they've been a wagon all year. So it's kind of, I don't feel too bad about that. And then Seider, we know what kind of player Seider is, right? He's pacing for 43 points again. He got 42 points last year. He got 42 points the year before. This is the player Mo Seider is. He's a beefer. He's a mega beefer with crazy hits and blocks. And, he's probably good for 40 to 45 points. So he's doing that. It just sucks that he's going cold during your playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree with all of that. I think if you're presenting it as a would you rather in some sort of points league, it would probably be Harley, then Morrissey, then Seider for me. Rest of season here, uh, yeah, right. Seider looking like he's gonna hit my projection pretty much bang on with these numbers right
Love
now.
it.
Because yeah, like you said, it is kind of predictable. Even with power play, that's not who Seider is. He's a guy who's gonna throw the body. And Bangers Cats, like you can't possibly think of getting rid of Seider because even if he scored 0 points, he'd probably be valuable with the amount of value he brings with the peripherals there. But yeah, I do tend to think like I know there's going to be people who are thinking about panic dropping these players in this week 25, this last week, and I think you just got to stay the course. These are the guys who got you here. They're just as likely to turn on in the last little bit as they are to continue to be cold in my mind. So, yeah, these are the guys who got you here. Let them bring you home. All right, Blake, we've got to move things along here and get into the back part of this. But before we do, if we didn't talk about a player you want to hear about, make sure we join me for the last Puzzling Players on Monday, April 7th, 8 p.m. EST. I will be live streaming Puzzling Players for the last time this year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
make sure you join in for that. Ask any questions you've got. Come talk about some Puzzling Players with me there one last time. All right, Blake, some would you rather? Are you ready?
Oh, I can't wait, buddy.
All right. Throw it out to you then. Robert Thomas, Vincent Trocheck, Macklin, Celebrini is the first trio here. So obviously there's a little bit of schedule work at play here. We talked about Thomas with 4 games, 2 off nights. Macklin, Celebrini, San Jose, 6 games, 5 off nights. So maximum schedule there. Trocheck on the Rangers, 6 games, 4 off nights. Thomas is 80% rostered, Trocheck 88% rostered, Celebrini down at 60% rostered, but obviously the best schedule. Who would you rather?
Oh man, this is crazy. Just digging in on Robert Thomas again. This guy's electric. I mean, what is he doing right now? His stats are insane, but yeah, it's gonna be rough to try and roster him here. Oh god, 4 games. That's not gonna be enough for me. You know what? It's got to be Vinny Tro or Macklin Celebrini, and they both have a similar schedule. I think. Oh god. This is so painful. You know what? Give me Macklin Celebrini. Give me Robert Thomas. Give me Vinny Tro. That's how I'm doing it. Book it.
All right, for myself, I'm going Vinny Tro, friend of the show, then Macklin Celebrini, then Robert Thomas, and you can book that. Over to left wing, Jerry McCann, 56% rostered. JJ Peterka, 56% rostered as well, versus Pavel Dorofeev. He's 52% rostered. This is also a situation which you're going to want to take the schedules into account. Seattle here has 5 games, 1 off night. Buffalo with 6 games and 1 off night. And Dorofeev on Vegas with 5 games and 1 off night. So similar schedules for McCann and Dorofeev, but Peterka gets the extra game played. Who would you rather?
I'm going Peterka, McCann, Doro. That's how we rock in here. Book it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Honestly, I think this is pretty much a coin flip all the way across. And for that reason, I'll take the extra game played with Peterka. Then I'll go to Dorofeev, and then I'll take McCann last. But you could convince me of anything there. I just wanted to see if you had a particular take or a strong take there. Over to right wing, Matt
All my takes
Boldy.
are strong.
All of them, every single
Oh
one.
yeah, and I'm the most modest as well. Have you heard about this?
I have
Okay,
indeed.
sweet. Okay, I appreciate that.
Matt Boldy, 92% rostered. Minnesota, just 4 games in the upcoming week here. 4 games, 2 off nights, similar to St. Louis. Tyler Toffoli, 36% rostered, but again, 6 games and 5 off nights. Matvey Michkov on Philadelphia in the middle there, 5 games, 2 off nights. Who would you rather for week 25?
Ooh wee! This is a rough one. You got to go to Foley with the 6 games. You got to do it. I think. This is bizarre. Yeah, to Foley, Michkov, Boldy. That's probably how I'd go. I don't like what's going on in Minnesota right now. Although Boldy just had a 3-point game. Shout out to you, King. But yeah, I'm going to Foley, Michkov, Boldy. Book it.
Yeah, again, it's a spot where I don't think he can make a terrible choice. I mean, Michkov, the way he's been popping off, hard to go away from him as well. I don't know what it was the last game. I'll look it up here. Why didn't that work for me? My clicking skills are not what they once were. But like, yeah, he had 23 minutes in the last game, but didn't register a point. But prior to that, he had 3 straight multi-point games. Had points in 6 straight games before that. So obviously, Michkov is going at the moment. I might go Michkov first and then go back for Toffoli and then leave Boldy at the last. But again, you could convince me of a few different orders in that one. Last up, defense. Well, not last up, but last of the skaters, I guess. Devin Taves, Noah Hannafin, Gustav Forsling here. I just thought this was kind of interesting as these defensemen who are kind of second tier defensemen on their own teams in terms of the point scoring. So, Devin Taves, Noah Hannafin, Gustav Forsling. Who would you rather, Blake?
Oh, you'd like to know that, wouldn't you, Nate? Give me Hannafin. Give me Hannafin. He actually is getting some power play one, or at least like a 60% power play share in two of the last 3 games. So yeah, give me Noah Hannafin there. I like that. God, who are the other ones? What's wrong with me? I just totally lost my stuff here. Oh God. Yeah. Hannafin, Taves, Forsling. That's how we're rolling. I don't like that Forsling missed this game here. That means he's banged up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not interested. Taves with 6 points in 5 games. That's okay. Thank you very much. That stinks. But yeah, Hannafin, Taves, Forsling. That's how I'm rolling.
Yep. Again, I think these are very close, but I am with you. The Forsling missing the game here is giving me the heebie-jeebies a little bit on his availability rest of season, and so that's enough to put him to the bottom for me. Colorado, as you mentioned, just the 4 games, but the optionality with Devin Taves after the 4 games to flip him into somebody else could make me roster him over Hannafin, so I think I'll go Taves, Hannafin, Forsling there. Last order of business, the goaltenders, all the same suspects we've been talking about for a while in terms of 0G, but Tristan Jarry, Lucas Dostal, Elvis Merzlikins. Who would you rather? You are on mute right here live on.
Diggity dank. Oh, come on, man. That's like the first time I've done that all season. I'm usually pretty good at this. Okay, definitely not Elvis Merzlikins. All right, that man blew me up, and I didn't like it. All right, so I'm going Dostal. I guess then I would go Merzlikins. Then I would go Jari. That's how I'm rolling. What do you say, Nate?
So you said Merzlikins blew you up?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. Elvis Merzlikins has to be the last one of this group for me. Just has been truly
Oh,
atrocious the last little bit. So I'd go Dostal first, especially with Gibson banged up again. Like, how many times are we going to do this with him? Dostal, then Jari, then Merzlikins for me. All right, under the hood, let's get into it. This is a player that I've been wanting to talk about, but Logan Stankoven, I think, is just fitting like a glove in Carolina here. He's only got 2 goals, 3 assists in the last 10 games, 15.02 average time on ice. That's been trending up, though. 19th in shots per 60 and third in the league in individual scoring chances for per 60 over these 10 games.
oh
So that's
yeah.
really nice for Logan Stankoven. 12th in Corsi 4 per 60, 16th in on ice scoring chances 4 per 60. Keep in mind, he's doing this without power play one there in Colorado. Every other player that you're going to see, especially in these on ice lists, they're getting a huge glow up on those numbers based on their power play time. Stankoven is right up there with them without any of that added boost. So that's a spot that I love for Stankoven. I want to see him into next year. I want to see him push onto that top power play unit. I think it's possible. We all know how much
Yeah.
Rod Labod hates Andrei Svechnikov, so maybe there's a spot there where he can take over. Either way, I think that Carolina gets better this offseason. They've actually got a ton of money available this offseason, which will be interesting to see what they do with. I think that Logan Stankoven could be a big time winner this offseason in terms of some line mates and return some big stats next year. Any thoughts on Stankoven, Blake?
I'm just a big fan of the player. He needs more minutes, right? This is a guy that is an amazing rush player. He generates a ton of shots off the rush. His offense is based off the rush, and he's a really good forechecker as well. So, yeah, give me some stank. I think this is going to be a little bit of a sleeper pick next year, especially if he can get some more minutes.
Yeah, that will be the key. It always is with Rod Brindamore in town, but I think he might have enough to just be above. Like, think of what Seth Jarvis was able to do in his first season, full season there in Carolina. I think that might be something that Stankoven might be able to come close to replicating there. All right, last order of business, the head-to-head streamer deathmatch. And Blake, I gave it a good run with Kent Johnson, but ultimately fell short. 14 points for Johnson. You had Mackie Simiskevich, and he got a last second assist, 40 seconds
Doesn't
left in
matter.
the
Doesn't
game.
matter.
Pulls him across the finish line with 17.75 points. That's enough for the win. Blake is up 15-9 on the season. We have one more week for me to get to double digits and make this thing respectable. And so for that final week, I do have the first pick this week, and I'm going to go back to Old Faithful here. Troy Terry is going to bring it home for me. Let's see it. Blake, who are you going with?
I'm taking Big Willie Eklund. All right, of the San Jose Sharks. Super Big Willie. Come on, buddy. He's got the biggest Willie around, and we're going to get the biz this week. All right, you're not getting those double digits, Nate. I'm sorry to say.
We will see. Troy Terry, I just got to shut this man out again. Like, he has been toiling on a line with Ryan Strome, and why can't I think of the other player on the other
Sam
side?
Colangelo.
No, it's not been Sam Colangelo. Why am I blanking on this all of a sudden? It's been the same line
Kalorn.
forever. It's been Frank Vitrato. My
Oh,
goodness.
Frank the
That
Tank.
was an absolute block in my brain for a second there. I think it's because Vetrano really cratered in
Yeah, he
for
hurt
me
your
in
feelings.
Cupful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Vetrano and Strom and Terry has been trying to single-handedly carry that line. Over the last 5 games, he's only got 2 points, but 18 minutes average time on ice, 69th in shots per 60 nice, 21st in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60, 16th in on ice scoring chances, 4 per 60. Will someone get this man a line mate for the love of God?
You know who he needs? Willie Eklund. All right, maybe a little trade there. Get Eklund in there. Pop off time for Terry.
All right. Well, if you've made it this far and you've listened to us this much, you should probably click the link in the description. Join the Discord community. While you're here, like, rate, review, subscribe, comment, whatever you can do really does help us out. But that's going to be all that we've got for this episode. Hopefully, it brought you some value. Helps you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick. Terrific free resource. Many thanks to the band. They're there for supplying the music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. That's it, folks. Much love.